Hi there, everyone. Thank you for joining me on today's webinar. It's been some time since we have done this exercise, so over the next few weeks we will be going through quite a number of these webinars, just so we can get back up to speed. Starting off with the stuff we're going to cover today, which is product release number 141. So this was the work that we completed in December. As such, given the time of year, it covers off some of the smaller tasks that we were looking to address, some of the more menial challenges that we think firms face day to day, alongside amending some of the more niggly bits of the software. As such, a lot of the work we did was, again, technical debt, organizing indicators, making the look and feel of insights flow a lot better, and changing some of the smaller aspects, alongside some larger functional changes, of which I'm going to take you through today. Firstly, I'll get straight into it. 141 will be the webinar now. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll be looking to do number 142, which is the work we did in January, alongside rolling out a series of webinars which cover off a lot of the enterprise features that more or less every firm utilizing Insight will now have the ability to utilize. But nonetheless, I'll get started on 141 and we can cover everything else off on the future webinars. The first piece to cover off, again, a relatively simplistic change, but I appreciate it's something that a lot of firms have been wanting to be changed for some time. It isn't necessarily a massive change, but again, it's just the day-to-day usage and improving the usability for both the people that have used Insight for a number of years and people more or less familiar with Insight. That being within the posting screen. Historically, we've had the postings for C2, D2 and O2 saying the word check. Whilst there isn't necessarily a problem with that, I can appreciate that there was an element of misleading to a point, or not necessarily misleading, an element of clarity, or it probably left something to be desired to a point. So we have made an amendment whereby C2, D2, O2 and N2 postings now, rather than saying client check, office check, deposit check, nominal check, they now say debit/credit. Quite a simplistic change, but again, just the day-to-day usage improving and making things a little bit easier to understand and go through within the system. Like I say, within the matter postings, that has been changed there. Within the nominal side, that change has also been reflected through here. The next change made, again, the day-to-day usage and making things a lot easier to visualize and a lot easier to understand. Historically, the time tab with an Insight was largely a one-size-fits-all. You can't sort it, you can't really filter it. It's just a long list of the data, and you essentially go through it and you work out what you need to see from here. Of course, you can do some elements within reporting, but there's probably some more needed on this screen just to make the day-to-day a little bit simpler and easier. With that, we've now added the ability to sort the data bank. So for example, if we want to look by fee earner, we can now organize it alphabetically through the software. Equally, and probably the most useful aspect of this, as opposed to having it filtering in chronological order by date and going down with the oldest first, you can now move it so it has the newest first, which I think will just be a big change and something that's just makes life a hell of a lot easier for those who do time record and need to have a look at this day to day. The biggest change we made was the ability to lock matters. There'll be various reasons why you need to do it. Within the system settings, you'll now have this tab here, noted quite simply, matter locking. You click enable locking. As standard, there'll be 3 reasons for locking. You can add additionally to this, you can take some away. As standard, you'll have these already, you can utilize them, but like I say, there may be rationale to have more reasons and you can add those in. Quite simply, they'll note through here. Of course, if there's the need to delete, you can do that. How you would access this, how you would utilize this within permissions under staff maintenance, you now have additional permissions to lock and unlock matters. Again, you define who needs this facility. You give both. When those individuals who have the ability to do this then go into matter maintenance for any particular matter, you would now have, so if we go to COM 108 through here, you now have this additional tab here, which is lock, unlock, matter. We go through here, for example, let's say there was a proceeds of crime act issue on this one, for example. We click lock matter. It will then ask for the rationale, which will pull directly through from the system settings. We note proceeds of crime act, and then we may say, we give a comment, we may say PCA on hold pending further review, something along those lines. What this will then do, when you press submit on this, you press submit there, it will then firstly show you the warning that you're going to receive whenever you do anything in association to this client. I'll close this off now and I'll come back to this point in a moment. But you'll also see a timestamp you can click on to open up a bit more, get the rationale behind it, see the reasoning, see who did it. So there is still the full audit trail. But the intent with this is really to ensure both from an initial point, the compliance, and equally just ensuring that the individuals that are associating with matters are constantly aware that there may be a reason. So for example, if we go into case inquiry, we then search for COM 108. So let's say the client's just called in. Whenever we go to act on that matter, it will prompt up with this warning quite simply, because of course it's probably the most important piece. It will define for that individual to stop and say nothing. Just go about the conversation as normal, do what you need to do, but operate in the fashion that you need to within the Proceeds of Crime Act through here. This is a really important piece and one of the major things we've looked to change, because we feel this is something that is very much a need day to day for firms now. With the compliance procedures you have to follow, this is unendingly important, and we want to make sure it's something that we instill within our software that you would see the benefit of, and hopefully can stop any potential troubles in the future. Outside of this, there is one additional change that we've equally made. Unfortunately, I can't show it to you, but I'll detail through how it works. One thing historically we've always been very aware of is that there's generally been one or two people within the firm that get the updates for Insight, get general communications about new releases, for example, or other aspects of the system. We have had in the new feature, and it may be something that you've had already, but there is now a message on login that occasionally pops up. So there may be something to say that you have been updated to, say, 142, for example. These are the new features, access the release notes here. Again, it isn't a monumental change. It's just really to ensure that we're getting all the information about Insight to the individuals that are actually utilizing it. It hasn't been a tremendously long webinar. As it was December, there wasn't a great deal that 141 included, but like I say, we tried to get in a lot of the tasks that we think will be the most beneficial and that we could complete in the time frame we had. Like I say, 142, that will be a webinar we're doing in a couple of weeks, and then equally the enterprise webinars will be following that. But thank you very much for joining me today. Following this, the recording of this webinar will be sent out to all attendees and non-attendees alike. I will keep the webinar open for a short period, just if there are any questions that need addressing, and I'll action them. But other than that, thank you very much for joining me today, and I hope you have a great day and a good week. Thank you.